I'm going to just give you, I think, the 4 areas where I think we need to focus on when we think about leading through a very difficult and challenging market. All right, friends, welcome back to Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and I thought today I would spend just a few minutes talking about leadership. You know, look, I never wrote any self-help books on leadership. I've read a few, but really what I want to talk about today isn't based on, any necessarily prepared content, or it's not even following some, particular system for leadership. What I want to do is just kind of speak from the heart. I want to share with you, as someone who, does work in leadership at a large mortgage banking firm, and really for more than half my career, I've been in leadership positions. And so I'm going to just give you, I think, the 4 areas where I think we need to focus on when we think about leading through a very difficult and challenging market like the one that we're in today. I mean, look, a lot of you that watch this podcast are in mortgage or real estate, but look, even if you're not, I think this information may be helpful to you in whatever type of business that you're in, or if you're in a role right now and you're looking to get into leadership at some point in the future. Now, the good news for those of us in mortgage and real estate is there's still a strong demand for housing. So that's been great. It's been resilient. And as we've talked about in previous podcasts, home values, had a little bit of a dip in 2022. And here in the first half of 2023, they've been rebounding. And now we're seeing, in many markets, multiple offers and whatnot. So that's the good news. It is challenging for homeowners or potential buyers because interest rates are so high. They're higher than they've been really that I can remember. They were probably a little bit higher than this when I first got in the mortgage business back in the 90s. But since then, we haven't really seen the likes of rates up in the mid 7s like we're seeing right now. And so there are challenges that we deal with in this industry, and we've talked about a lot of those. But let's talk about how we deal with those challenges. So here's my just kind of thoughts that have come together around leadership. And to be honest with you, the first thing that I want to talk about is leadership over yourself. And I don't think we think about that a lot when we think of the term leadership. We think about leading others. And that's, the next 3 things I'm going to talk about are about others. But we got to start with ourselves. And especially in a challenging market like this, I would ask you, are you a great leader to yourself? And I think about the areas of, your health. I think about the areas of your education. Are you taking in content right now that is helping you understand and deal with the challenges that you're facing in this market? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting exercise? Are you taking in the right diet? Are you being careful with your consumption of alcohol and things like that can throw you off of your game? Because the propensity for many people is when things are slow or they're getting depressed about what's going on in the market, they tend to let those things creep into their life. And unfortunately, this is the time where you need to do the exact opposite of that. You need to make sure you're finding the time to go to the gym. You need to be careful on when it is you're going to bed, or if you're going out with friends. Look, go ahead and do that, but think about what your day looks like the next day. And are you going to have the energy and the sharpness necessary to go out and win in a challenging market? So the first thing that I would talk about around leadership is self-leadership. Are you being a great leader to yourself? And I think that extends to your family, balancing your finances in a market like this, all of those things. So maybe think about, are you being the best leader to you that you can be. So the next thing I think about is leadership over your clients. And I say clients, but it really could be prospects. It could be anyone that you're looking to influence to do business with you. So if you're a branch manager, if you're in business development, maybe that's a recruit. Maybe that's, the people you're trying to bring onto your organization. If you're a loan officer or a realtor, this could be your clients that you work with. If you work in, like I'm here in our marketing studio with our marketing director, we need to get people encouraged to utilize the tools and resources we have around video. And the list goes on. It doesn't really matter where you are in the business cycle. There's someone that you're looking to. And what I can say about this is that what has worked in the past probably will not work in a market like this. And I'll give you an example. So if you're, if it's in a market where interest rates are really low and everyone is looking to refinance, well, a lot of times you could get by just being what I would consider an order taker. There's so many people that want to get their mortgage restructured while rates are low that you don't have to think about really courting them. You don't have to really spend too much time in the rapport building process. I mean, I think you should, but you don't have to. You could get by without doing those things. And so you think about the fact that you're able to bring in the amount of business you want to bring in without putting in as much effort. So as I think about leadership as it relates to whoever it is that you're prospecting, I think you have to really change your process in going after this business. You have to really establish to them why it is they should be spending the time to talk to you, what it is that you bring to the table. They're probably going to have concerns, right? I mean, if interest rates are high, they're worried about the housing market. You have to lead them through this challenging market and help them understand why it's the right time for them to buy or refinance. Which products and programs are going to be best for them. Put in the effort to help lead them through the process. And that's not always the case. Matter of fact, and we've talked about this in the past, many people, depending on when you got into this industry, you had a level of success without even trying. Well, you may not be honed in these skills. So I would ask you, how is your leadership around dealing with your prospects? So I would take that as a takeaway and a place to consider. The next one is leadership over your direct reports. So not everyone has direct reports, but a lot of people in our industry do. And that could be, your loan officer assistant, your transaction coordinator. This could be, if you're a branch manager, the loan officers in your branch. And same thing. Look, what worked in the past probably won't work right now. And the reason for that is because people's concerns are different. So what we dealt with when things were really busy in 2020 and 2021 is we were almost like, damage control, right? People were really busy. We were trying to, push loans through. We were trying to deal with the capacity issues that our industry was dealing with. And that's a whole set of leadership skills to be able to do that. But right now, we have the opposite problem. Capacity probably isn't the issue. Matter of fact, a lot of people are struggling just to get the business they need. And so the relationship that we may have developed over time with the people who report to us, if we continue and we think that that relationship can maintain static through a market like this, well, I think we're kidding ourselves. What we need to do is engage at a different level with them to find out how are they doing, check in with them, see how they're feeling about business. We need to really come alongside them and help be tactical in helping them accomplish and overcome the challenges that may be in front of them. And we have to cast a vision of positivity that things are going to get better if we do the right things. So think about leadership from the perspective of, who are the people that are relying on you, that report to you, and how can you come alongside them? Because I promise you, the relationships that you had in the past and the way that you conducted yourself with each of them probably needs to be different in this market. And if it hasn't shifted for you, I think you need to move quickly and realize that you may be missing an opportunity to help someone, or you may have people drifting away from you right now that you don't even know are drifting. And look, when I say we, I mean myself included, right? I'm still in a leadership role, and I do have people that report to me. And the next thing I want to talk about, if you have a branch or a region or a division of people, but all of us need to work on this. And it's something that I'm realizing as I try to lead people through this challenging market. So look, I don't have this stuff all figured out. I don't think any of us do, but it's a good exercise, and it has been for me, to go through and think about each of these areas. And am I doing everything that I can for myself, for my clients or my prospects, for the people that, that I lead? That's where we can all get better. So the last one that I want to talk about around leadership is if you run a branch or a region or a division or a company for that matter. What you need to do there is different than what you might need to do for your direct reports. I mean, direct reports are looking for one-on-one support, guidance, motivation, inspiration, problem solving, those sorts of things. But what's happening on a larger scale, if you run a branch, a region, a division, or a company, is now all of a sudden you're responsible for managing the total pipeline, the total amount of business that's coming in. You have the financial aspect of balancing the budget. In our industry in particular, we have to balance the amount of business coming in, the margin that we're collecting on that business, and we have to balance that with the competitive nature of what's going on in our industry right now. And so, meaning in order to preserve market share, many companies, all companies that I know of, are really getting sharp on their price. And so how do you lower margin to provide a better price in order to retain market share while also dealing with lower volumes and covering all of your expenses, right? So there's a lot that's going on there. And look, in the past, these things weren't a problem because in 2020 and 2021, and really even before that, margins were much thicker than they are today, and volumes were quite a bit higher. So no one was really looking at the bottom line. People were really throwing money at hiring as many people as they could, doing whatever was necessary to get the business done. So how do you shore that up in a market like this? Because if you want to be able to provide some relief on pricing and margin, well, then you have to figure out how to balance your budget on the other side. You have to figure out how to bring in enough business to be able to do those things. So if you're not focused on those numbers, chances are there's someone above you in the organization that is. And my challenge to branch managers, even loan officers that run a large team or real estate agents that run a large team, you really need to understand the financial structure, if you will, of whatever group it is that you're overseeing. And sometimes we don't have all that much transparency into those numbers. And this is a time where I would be raising my hand to ask and say, hey, I want to understand better the economics of my branch or the economics of my region so that I can do my part to help make sure that we have a balanced and sustainable budget so that we can continue and, to sustain really during a market like this. So you got to ask yourself, if you're in a leadership role like that, are you doing your part to help with the overall financial stability of the group that you oversee? And if you're not, and the reason for that is because you're not privy to that information, I would be asking, how can I help? What do I need to know about the financial, makeup of my group that I oversee, and how can I help balance that budget? It's going to go a long way to the leadership that you report to, and you're going to learn a lot. I will tell you that it was difficult markets in 2008 and other kind of 2013 was a challenging market for us. So 2018 was a challenging market. So as I think of the more difficult times, and when I had an opportunity to really get in and understand the math of what was happening and then help find solutions to deal with that, for me, that's what really helped, propel my career to where it's at today. So these difficult situations are really opportunities for you to raise your hand and say, I want to be part of the solution. Help me understand how this works so that we can help drive the right behavior and end up with a sustainable way of getting through this challenging market. Because you guys, unfortunately, this isn't over. I still think that there's a silver lining to a market like this, right? It's a cleansing of our industry. It's an opportunity to step up and grow and put a foundation in place that if you can make it through this market, you will have no problems for probably the rest of your career. But don't kid yourself. It's going to continue to be a challenging market. I look at just the last week or so on what's happened with interest rates. I don't know exactly when this episode will air, but I'm recording it here in the middle of August, and it's been a slide as far as mortgage rates go. So it's not looking better in the short term. I'm still optimistic, as I've shared. Obviously, this is going to end as inflation continues to come down. But now's the time, I think, to really take inventory of what it is that we're doing and what we can do better. And, unfortunately, for those of you that aren't the most disciplined individuals, now's a time to really test yourself and see if you can institute more discipline, more leadership into what it is you do. And just to recap, I'm thinking specifically the areas of self-discipline, right? Taking care of yourself, making sure you're in the best mind space and health and energy that you can be to win in this market, really helping your clients and your prospects through the process, the buying process, the recruiting process, whatever that may be. The people who are looking to you every day, your direct reports, coming alongside them and giving them the help they need, and then your branch, region, or division to make sure that it's healthy, it's sustainable, and it's growing. So you guys, those are the things that were kind of on my heart and my mind today as I think about what I'm going through, quite frankly, in this industry. And I know there's people out there on the other side of the screen that are going through the same things, and maybe take some time and just jot down those 4 areas and then start making a list underneath of them of what you're doing well, what you might not be doing well, what steps you could take to be better in those 4 areas. And I promise you that you and the people that you lead are going to be rewarded for your efforts if you take the time to slow down and do that. So you guys, that's my message for today. I really appreciate you taking the time to stop by and pick up an episode of Market Shares. As I've said in the past, I love making this content and we're looking to grow this community. So if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. But more important than that, let someone else in the industry know about Market Shares who you think might get some value from it as well. And until next time, take care.